Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us. Today, we'll explore how GB10 with precision helps small and medium businesses move AI from the buzzword to real and practical outcomes. I am Kankana Mukherjee, Executive Editor at HT Media, and I'll be your host for today's conversation. At HT, we spend a lot of time engaging with business leaders across India. And one theme which comes up consistently is the ambition to use AI and the uncertainty around where to start and how to scale responsibility. That's exactly what today's discussion is about. And I'm joined by Mr. Vivekanandh N R. He is a distinguished engineer with Client Solution Group, CTO Software Architecture team, and focuses on the AI solutions for Dell AI PCs and cloud solutions architecture. Mr. Vivekananda has a rich industry experience of 25 plus years with various MNCs, Dell, Nokia, to name a few. He's an SME in AI, ML, cloud solution architecture, system management, and telecom network and element management domains. He holds 30 plus granted software patents at the USPTO. And he works closely with customers deploying GB10 and the broader Dell AI stack. We'll focus on what SMBs are actually doing on the ground, real use cases, real constraints, and how teams can get started without needing a large AI or data science functions. Welcome, Mr. Vivekananda, to this show today.
Thank you, Kankana. Glad to be here.
Thanks so much. So not keeping you waiting for long, so let's just get started. So what the viewers are also waiting for. So from your work with SMB customers, what are the top 2 or 3 challenges they face when trying to adopt AI? Whether that's data readiness, infrastructure, skills, or cost. And where does GB10 with precision fits best in solving these?
Right. So when it comes to SMB customers, they go through multiple challenges. But let's discuss the top 2 challenges. So first and foremost is the infrastructure bottleneck, right, which includes memory, compute, and your latency limits. So SMBs in general, they often lack GPU memory and compute capacity needed to run their large models on-prem or on the cloud. So even if they have a high-end workstations, the max they can go around is about 30 to 45 billion parameter models, right, which will hit the memory ceiling. Now, in this context, how GB10 can help is about the GB10 is designed with NVIDIA's Grace Blackwell superchip, which contains around 128 GB unified memory, which kind of eliminates that CPU, GPU memory bottlenecks, right? It can run models up to 200 billion parameters on a single unit. And if you are able to stack both of them, like 2 GB10s, one on the top, you will be able to go up to 400 billion parameter models. So that's one of the main infrastructure bottleneck that GB10 solves for the SMBs. So let's move on to the second bottleneck or the second challenge. What they have is about the cost and cloud dependency. So when SMBs tries GPU nodes on the clouds, right? So it generally drives unpredictable monthly costs. So what do I mean by that, right? It looks so attractive to start their experimentation on the cloud. But when the experimentations start scaling and you are trying to run multiple experiments, that's when you start hitting your limits, rate limits, and then your cost becomes high, right? So now, where does GB10 comes into picture with respect to cloud dependency and costs? So GB10 offers the SMBs and one-time predictable capex. So what that means is no more reserving AI GPU on the AI cloud, and no more waiting in the queue for getting your GPU time, and you have the power of a data center at the palm of your hands. beside your desk. So those are the two main bottlenecks that I feel GB10 solves for the SMBs.
So, delving deeper, when I talk of cloud cost and data control, so cloud AI sounds attractive, but many SMBs worry about unpredictable cost and data privacy. So, how does using GB10 as a local AI system change both the economics and the risk profile compared to running everything in the cloud?
Right. So every SMB, when they start off with their AI journey, they start with the cloud, right? Because that's where like you have APIs exposed over cloud, so you can run your inferencing or you can run your workloads against the models that are hosted on the cloud. And again, you also have the option of hosting your own model on the cloud. Now, where do they face the uphill challenge is the usage based fee, right? So let's say if I am an SMB, I am trying to build my own AI solution. I'm not going to build it in one shot, right? Because I need to collect the data, I need to make sure my use case is solid, my design is solid, and let's say if I need to fine tune my model, which is tailor made to my domain that I'm working on, right? So when it comes to that, like how many times you would be running experimentation? It's one too many, right? Because you need to arrive at that precision and the expected output that you're looking for. Now, if you are too much relying on the cloud, so you will definitely hit your rate limit and you're going to have unpredictable costs as you move along your journey and development. And then the other biggest thing that it can create is your on-prem data control, right? So more often the SMB customers are more worried about the proprietary data, because data is the new gold in this era, right? And when you are working on a mission critical application which you wanted to protect, your data becomes the gold that you are protecting with your organization. So when GB10 comes into picture, when the data control requirements kicks in, right, where your data is on-prem in that box, right, in the GB10 box, it's not going online. So that is where GB10, in my opinion, is positioned at the right segmentation for the SMB customers, which includes healthcare, finance, and legal, which also government and pharma industries, where data needs to be local and on-prem.
So let's get to the real world scenario, Mr. Vivekananda. So can you share a real or representative SMB story where a small team used GB10 with precision to pilot a Gen AI or RAG use case? What they built, how long it took, and the business impact that they achieved?
Yeah, I think I can think of an example. A customer who came to one of the events at Dell, and they had presented the use cases that they have tried with GB10. So I can take that as an example and answer this particular question. So there's a company called ucube.ai, which is a small AI engineering team based out of Bangalore. So they work across legal, healthcare, and manufacturing verticals. And they were recognized as the Forbes India DG EMS Select 200 in startup in 2025. So they had experimented on GP10, and they had tried two use cases to name. One is fine-tuning their Gen AI model for legal domain. So for that, they have actually selected the model GEMA 12B for sentiment classification of legal citations. So imagine, so they had a pipeline which was taking longer time for fine-tuning. So they just have to plug GB10 in and then run their pipeline on GB10 with 5,000 sample publications from Indian court judgments. So we all know how the legal judgment papers can be, right? It's pretty lengthy. Yeah. So they had taken 5,000 as a sample, and they were kind of trying to see how they can improve their accuracy, right? And moreover, they were able to run this pipeline 15 hours continuously on GB10 without any single glitch, right? And the accuracy, which was traditional from the traditional fine tuning, which was 36%, improved to 50%. So that's one real world example of how a fine tuning use case can be run on a GB10. The second one, the same company, they were focusing on the pharma knowledge retrieval. So they were building a RAG pipeline for doing the knowledge retrieval. So they had kind of ingested around 20,000 pharma research papers using OCR plus metadata extraction.
Okay, thanks. That was like really something that we were not aware of. So, if we talk about the patterns across the SMB customers you work with, what use cases are showing the fastest tractions today? Is it customer support assistance, document summarization, visual inspection, internal knowledge bots, or something else?
Basically, when it comes to SMBs, right? So they pretty much look at what is the fast ROI.
Correct.
And which requires minimal cloud dependency and aligns perfectly with their local, secured and high memory compute model. So with in relevance to GB10, so most of the use cases that you had already said kind of makes more sense to SMBs, right? So first and foremost is your regulatory and sensitive industries. So there are regulatory and sensitive industries where they do visual inspection, right? So for example, in an industry, we need to find what is the defective part. So that is where the visual inspection comes into picture. So the GB10 can kind of run a visual model, computer vision model, where these defective parts can be detected, right? And the second thing is about having the data on premises. So all the sensitive data can be kept on premises, and GB10 executes your inferencing, fine tuning, data processing locally. So what is the benefit that you get out of that? Like, you have no exposure to external cloud networks. That means your data is safe and secure on premises, and it is fully aligned with your regulatory frameworks, like for example GDPR or any financial compliance or HIPAA. So it helps to meet the privacy and your compliance requirements by design, right? And for example, running high value workloads locally, you can go up to 200 billion parameter models. And in healthcare, the customers can use to do clinical document automation. You can also run regulatory compliance workflows for your data, which is respect to healthcare. And when it comes to finance, they can run fraud detection, anything related to risk scoring, credit models, and the list goes on, right? So it's up to them how do they wanted to make use of GB10 to solve any complex problem that they have in hand.
So when it comes to regulated or sensitive industries for SMB in sectors like healthcare, finance or legal, so where data sensitivity is immensely critical, so how are customers using GB10 to keep AI workloads local while still innovating quickly? How is that worked out?
Right. So basically, when it comes to healthcare, finance and legal, the first and foremost thing is about keeping all your sensitive data on premises. Let's say you are running a software which is detecting some patterns from a lot of results that you have collected, clinical research results that you have collected. Now, the data that you have collected probably may contain sensitive information, which is the patient gender, patient ethnicity, or it will contain all the medical records about the patient, right? So that's a very sensitive data, and you really don't want it to be exposed on the public internet through or running those workloads and transferring that data onto the cloud for your inferencing or your model training purposes. So now where GB10 comes into picture is like you are able to keep all that data locally, right? And you are still able to run the experimentation on the premises by keeping all the regulatory compliance in your mind. And when it comes to finance, again, the data with respect to the PCI or any other information that the finance industry is collecting with respect to the customer is basically needs to be protected in their on premises, right? And it should not be exposed. So there has been a lot of data on how the environments got hacked and how this data is breached, right? And then there's a lot of information is available on sale in the darknet, right? So coming back, right? So that is where finance industry can use GB10 to do their on-prem model evaluation without compromising on the data sovereignty. And it can also use to do the zero trust aligned architecture, right? And when it comes to legal, summarization of judgments could be a great use case, where like I had already explained with respect to the ucube.ai, how they have fed so many documents into their RAG pipeline for fine tuning, right? And then they were able to get the data out of that as well, right? With like 0.9 seconds TFTP. So that's a phenomenal achievement, right? Which they were able to achieve. So those are that's another example of how it can play in the legal segment as well.
So when it comes to skills and team size, so as we all know that most of the SMBs don't have large IT or data science teams. Realistically, so what levels of skills, tooling and support do they need to start while using GB10 with precision effectively?
Right, so the GB10 was primarily designed to lower the skills barrier by providing a pre-configured AI environment. So, and provide you the out-of-the-box development experience. So, what do I mean by pre-configured AI environment, right? So, if you go to GB10, so GB10 kind of includes everything that an AI developer needs. So for example, if you are a AI company, you're trying to do experimentation. So what are the few things that you definitely need? Is CUDA, then you need a PyTorch, then you need TensorRT, and your Docker and container templates. And moreover, Jupyter Lab is the first thing that anybody would kind of configure, right? When you start doing any Python coding, trying to do a data science experimentation. So point here is GB10 carries all of this, and it's basically it's available to you pre-configured. So you just power up the device, you start using it, you are cutting the IT time, right? So if you are a small company, I'm sure most of the SMBs, they really don't have a dedicated IT person, right? So that's how the SMBs operate, and probably there is an SME who is doubling up on that same role as well, right? So this will help every SMB because it's basically cutting the configuration time, because it has everything that a developer needs to start their experimentation, right? And let's talk about that interesting connection between precision and the GB10, right? That's an interesting segue that probably we can get into. The point here is when you are combining precision with the GB10, right, you are actually creating a powerful environment. Whereas your precision workstation, which you probably be using for labeling, your data preparation, and then your model evaluation, then suddenly you connect GB10, it actually transforms that into a full-blown AI workbench, right? What that means is like you have your precision to do your labeling and other data related work, then you have GB10 connected to that for compute. So you get your full-blown AI workbench. That's how powerful the combination of GB10 and precision would be.
So, how does GB10 fit into an SMB's existing environment, especially alongside Precision Workstation and the broader Dell AI factory with NVIDIA for teams that want to start at the desk and later scale to data center or cloud? So, what would you say to that?
Right. Interesting question. So the GB10, like we discussed in the previous question, is designed to drop cleanly into the small team's current setup, right? Without requiring it to be going through a phenomenal level of changes to accommodate GB10 into their everyday work. So it actually acts as a AI engine that complements precision workstations and connects seamlessly with the Dell's AI factory ecosystem, NVIDIA ecosystem for future scaling. So let's say your precision handles your everyday work, it runs your pipelines and then you do your data preparation. Then GB10 handles your AI compute. So this pairing basically for doing your fine-tuning, inferencing, RAG pipeline, multi-model workflows, all of that can be offloaded to GB10, right? And this kind of pairing works very well between GB10 and Precision Workstation. Remember, GB10 is not a replacement for your Precision Workstation, right? It's a complement. Precision and GB10 will work complementing each other, and it is built to act as your AI accelerator, right? So basically what you are getting is a mini AI factory node at your desk, right? So GB10 comes with all the Docker and other environments pre-built, so you can kind of have your models hosted on-prem locally with GB10. You fine-tune those models. So the containers that you have configured on the GB10 can be seamlessly ported back to Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA, which has the validated AI stacks and containerized workflows. So the GB10 uses the same foundation that the Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA uses. So you really don't need to do a lot of rework to move the workload from GB10 to the AI Factory. It's pretty seamless.
All right. So let's talk about GB10 as a powerful workstation. So for an SMB, comparing just a high-end workstation versus adding GB10, so what practical differences will they notice? Whether it is a model size, latency, concurrency, or experimentation speed. So what is it that they will achieve?
So GB10 brings the data center class AI power directly to the SMB's desk without the cloud or without the any complexity or any unpredictable costs. It Let's talk about a couple of points that they can actually take a note of, right? One is your model capacity and zero cloud dependency. That means moment you have a GB10, you can go up to 200 billion parameter model running on your desk side. You really don't have a dependency on cloud or your GPU reservation, or you're not hitting your rate limits, right? And the other biggest factor that they are worried is the latency and faster iteration, right? With GB10 coming into picture, with 128 GB combined memory, there is a high chance of getting the low latency and high throughput. Depends on the model and complexity of the use case. The second part is about the faster iteration, right? It reduces the time to first token and it speeds up the experimentation, because you have the power of the data center at the desk side, so you can experiment any times and fine tune without worrying about the cloud costs or any of the other factors. And the third point is about concurrency without compromise, right? It can run multiple AI workloads at the same time. So previously, when we are relying on cloud, we need to wait, right? And it probably, with your plan that you have subscribed, you may not be able to run concurrent workload. So probably you need to wait. If 2-3 developers want to run at the same time, probably it may not be possible, that they need to wait and reserve their GPU, right? Which is not the case when it comes to a GB10. And if configured rightly, it can also be exposed as a headless node. What that means is people can connect remotely, right? So that gives you immense power for
Indeed.
the SMB customers to scale to that level of their developers. Like if you have like five members, 3 members, they can all use the same GB10, right? Which they can connect remotely.
So, Mr. Vivekananda, can you share an example where an SMB outgrew a single system and used multiple GB10 units or clustering to scale AI experimentation or inferencing?
Yeah, so there is a small AI product team. So they started with 70 billion parameter models, and when they start fine tuning larger models, they were running into multiple complexities, and then they wanted to run the multiple chains, RAG chains simultaneously for their pilot. So they kind of hit a bottleneck with a single device, and instead of rewriting their pipeline and moving to cloud GPUs, say they took a second GB10 and they were able to connect them using the cable, right, which is the Connect X7 cable, to stack one on the top. So their power doubled, right, because they are now looking at like 400 billion parameter model, which they can run. So that is how customers can kind of use GB10 to scale. Maybe you start with one, but when your workloads gets complex, instead of moving to cloud and then taking additional GPU on the cloud, you could actually take one more GB10 and stack it up to go up to 400 billion parameter model size.
So, if an SMB wants to start small but seriously with AI using GB10 and precision, what would a practical 90-day roadmap look like from initial assessment to a live pilot use case?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, right? So it's basically they'll have to divide their days from then that's what we all do when we make a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So we look at 0 to 30 days, what are we going to do, and then like from 30 to 60 days, what are we going to do, and 60 to 90 days, what are we going to do, right? So let's try to apply the same 30, 60, 90-day plan for the SMBs who really want to start small and then scale up, right? So first and foremost, they need to assess their data that they have in hand and come up with 1 or 2 high impact use cases, which could be like internal knowledge search or document summarization or any customer support assistant. Identify something which is achievable, right? Don't pick a complex use case in the beginning itself. Then second thing should be to get your GB10 and precision, then set up your environment, probably run the start of the GB10, run the guided setup, and connect it to your precision workstation. You could use the NVIDIA's AI stack to validate whether everything is accessible to your team, right? And just establish or run a Hello World, Hello AI workload, right? Which could be like a small Hello World program where you are able to set up and do that pipe cleaning POC, which is a proof of concept, right? So now this could be your 30 days. Because why we are taking 30 days, you might be wondering, because the first task that we spoke is the very important task, which is understanding your data and identifying your impactful use case, right? Then the second 30 to 60 days is your real work, right? Where you are going to prepare your data set, you're going to build your RAG pipeline, and then you're going to validate your performance and security, because that's your real work, where you're going to build your first real prototype, working prototype, to check whether you are able to achieve the goal that you have defined in your first 30 days. So now you could use the data that is available in hand, and then it could be documents, it could be anything, right, that you wanted to feed it into your RAG pipeline, or any of the other use case that you wanted to develop, or a chatbot that you wanted to develop.
Right.
And once this is done, right, so then comes the final part, which is your 60 to 90 days, right? That is where you probably wanted to look at scaling up, right, and rolling this prototype that you have built for your customers. So that is where you probably will do a deploy, a controlled pilot release for probably a small group of internal customers, to see how the system is able to perform. Are they able to get the result that they are really looking for, right? Then you start capturing feedback about the usability, the accuracy, and the impact that it is creating. After that, so you try to harden, improve the solution, adding guardrails, probably use some prompt templates, you add your filters, retrieval filters, then look at add logging, and see how you are able to optimize the concurrency, and see how you can speed up by tuning your GB10 pipeline configuration. So that is basically, you will try experimentation with a smaller set of internal customers, gather feedback, harden your pipeline, harden your system, then you build your scale up plan. Okay, so I have done with all this, so what's my next big step? I need to scale this solution, I need to probably go to market, and then understand how my customers are receiving this, right? So that is where your Dell AI factory with NVIDIA comes into picture, where you migrate your workloads from GB10 to the Dell NVIDIA AI factory. After that, right, so then you are ready, right? So basically, in that 90-day plan, an SMB goes from zero to a secure on-prem AI pilot that you are actually giving to your customers, right? So when we started, we just started with a use case, right? Where are we? After 90 days is where we are able to deploy that with the Dell AI factory, and you are really looking at your customer feedback, right? Trying to understand, okay, hey, how is my solution doing in the field? So probably that would be personally my 30, 60, 90-day plan for the SMBs.
Right. So that was quite an interesting session. But as we come close to the session today, I would like to thank you, Mr. Vivekananda. And those insights were extremely enlightening. And thank you everyone who joined us today. So we have heard how GB10 with precision enables SMBs to experiment with AI locally, manage costs, protect sensitive data, and still have a clear path to scale. So if you like to explore how this could work in your own environment, please reach out to your Dell representative or connect to the links which is shared in the chat. Thank you so much.